So, guys, let's talk about Matt Hancock. His latest escapade, media car crash interview, whatever it is. But before we do that, let's watch it first. Let's watch an excerpt. I suppose I watched the whole thing, so people don't have to. But let's take a look at what happened, and then we can discuss what our takeaway
What has happened to you?
Yeah.
Over the past 2 years,
Yeah.
you know, in office, then you're forced to resign over in relationship
Falling in love with somebody. Yeah.
Falling in love. Well,
Falling in love and breaking your own rules.
You know,
you're the one
actually,
who,
just stop.
You're the
Lewis,
one who
stop.
mentioned-
Lewis, stop. I'm a human being, right?
Yeah. And you're,
Okay,
and you're a
no.
Secretary of State.
Don't interrupt me now, because I'm going to say something that I'd like you to listen to. I'm a human being. John's question is leading up to essentially how do you cope with this amount of stuff as a human being? And part of the answer is that, of course, politicians, have to take the rough with the smooth. And I have learned a huge amount about resilience. But I also now am just not interested in having people just go over old coals again and again and again.
Right.
What do you think?
No,
Stop. Don't interrupt me. Okay.
I thought he was fucking serious. Holy shit.
What do we make of this interview? I mean, context setting. So he's gone on the News Agents podcast. It's actually a really brilliant podcast. And it's an exclusive where he's talking about the National Conservatism Conference that ran in early May. And also they start asking him later on about when he was health secretary, stuff that happened. But yeah, thoughts on that? Odd.
I mean, it is odd. Like, odd is probably the best word to describe it. Like, what are you doing going on a media engagement and then interrupting them and going, no, stop, hold on. I'm a human being. And they were saying on the little afterpiece that they thought he was going to walk. I think that's... I would have thought they was going to walk. I'm surprised he didn't.
He seemed pretty angry and stuff like that, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think, in a strange way, it feels like a certain amount of, I don't know, arrogance might be too strong, but that he's also decided to come on this podcast. Sure, you're free to leave any time, but you were also previously the Secretary of State. You had major responsibilities. You messed up in a major way during a global pandemic, and it's like, you don't want to answer certain questions. So
it seems like we need to be somewhere in the middle. Like, I think you're right. Like, you literally presided over a really turbulent time for this country. You have to be able to answer questions. However, you also can't just keep asking them these questions. It reminds me of that Nick Clegg moment where he said, like, sorry for breaking tuition-free promises. And then, like, for the rest of his political career, it was just like, are you sorry about what you did? Are you sorry about what you... And it just kept on going. So it's kind of like we need to be somewhere in the middle. I've been able to hold him accountable, clearly. But you know what really gripes me? Something you said, Kit, about this interviews. Why is he wearing jeans? And like, not that he should be wearing jeans, but it feels like when you see your teacher, outside of school.
It's Mufti Day.
And then
it's Mufti
and
Day.
And they're in a tracksuit. You're like, what are you doing? Because he's still an MP. He's here in his capacity as an MP. Why has he got a jeans jacket on with a white t-shirt, looking like some tech startup bro? Like, what's going on?
I mean, it's the celebrity of it's trying to be a celebrity, right? And we've always discussed as a country about how he's trying to be a celebrity, going on "I am celebrity, get me out of here."
Yeah,
it's in the title,
that's the clue, right?
Clearly he's trying to make a switch out of what his previous career was, and I'm not buying it. I don't think most people are buying it.
Do you think it'll work?
Well, I do think the British media, in terms of rehabilitating certain individuals, has been hit or miss successful. I think it's highly dependent on his personality as an individual. Do you
think he has the personality to carry? Because I don't even know what he would do after this as a celebrity. I mean, is he just going to do all the stuff like Master Chef, Dancing with the Stars, like Strictly?
Definitely, I think so.
No.
You don't think he's going to do Strictly? I think he could do all that Strictly. Remember, you had, what's her name? Ed Balls did well.
Well, I mean, we have seen him what it's like in a tight clinch, haven't we? I think everyone's seen that. But I personally don't want to see that again. I think the reason why he's hard to rehabilitate is because it is just so galling to see someone who while he put rules on everyone else, he then chose to disobey those rules. And there's been conversations around this before where it's like, oh yeah, well they're important individuals, they're working hard and all this other stuff, but I just don't buy that. It's like, if you're going to set rules for everyone else, you have to be working to them yourself, because you got to lead by example. You can't lead.
But I mean, this is kind of similar to, I agree with that, by the way, but I was wondering, I mean, it's something I haven't seen much covered, which is, once you finish being an MP, I mean, Matt Hancock is, for all intents and purposes, still young. So he's still got a good sort of 30 years, maybe even 40 years of a working life. Like, what does he actually do after what he's done in Parliament? Like, what could be a fitting second act for him?
I think that's the issue that we have with the parliamentary system. It almost feels like we're asking the wrong questions. As in, why should Matt Hancock even be allowed to have a second act, given, as Keir said...
Well, he needs a job.
Yeah, sure, he needs a job, but I feel like whether it's in like media or under the spotlight, a lot of the conversation centers over, whether or not he can extend his, star power, his celebrity power, maybe just a little bit longer, a little bit brighter. Him and many others, I think he had a career in finance or in tech, one of these institutions. Many MPs have, other careers that they can fall back on that many of the people who suffered during a pandemic won't. So I think we have to have a question about more his accountability as a second act, as opposed to what job he's going to do next.
Yeah, but what does that mean realistically? I mean, obviously, I'm not advocating that he becomes a celeb, but I'm saying, what could he do next that would be satisfactory? Yeah, holding him accountable is cool.
I think charity work then. If we're talking about...
Well, he's the president of... not the president, but I think he's an ambassador for the Dyslexia Foundation, I believe. He gave them famously...
A percentage.
A
percentage point.
So, but the reason I'm asking is because a part of me does wonder, what's going to happen next, right? Because is it every time he does any media gigs, is it going to be the question of like, you sorry about what you did, say sorry? Is that what's going to happen forever? Or
I mean, a part of it is what avenues are left open to him, right?
Yeah.
But the other part is what companies are going to be happy working with him as well. So Nick Clegg is the vice president of Meta, and he's had avenues opened up to him even though he screwed up in office.
Yeah.
I think that is a really, really different thing from what has happened with Matt Hancock. The pandemic was, era defining. It was a whole epoch of us sat there in a building watching the news to see what was going on.
Yeah.
Or if you weren't watching the news, your life was restricted in many different ways. So in all facets of life, your life is now been reduced. And then you see a guy on the front cover of a newspaper cheating on his wife, like in the thick of the pandemic. I remember early on in the pandemic, actually, I remember thinking, I put a bet on Matt Hancock to be the first to leave office. And because I was like, there's no way that he survives this. He's going to screw up somehow. I just didn't know how big of a fucking screw up it would be.
Yeah.
And to be honest, midway through, I was sitting there going, oh, I don't know. Maybe it could be someone else, because quite frankly, this cabinet has not been doing well.
No.
Anyway, to move on swiftly, there are just not many avenues left open to him, right? Because you screw up on such a level where... similar to Kwasi Kwarteng as well, I might add.
I don't know what that happens with him. I mean, it's quite odd that it's media that Hancock chose, because he's not particularly gifted in the media. Like, he's not tactful, he's not warm, he's sort of odd, weird. Which is why when you said I'm a human on the podcast, I actually was like, that is sort of breaking news, because I didn't know, because he's so odd, he's so weird.
I was going to open up with, is he?
my famous bit about Hancock is, I don't know if you remember, I think it might have been local elections, or maybe it was even the general election, where he's doing an interview where we've got to put this like on the screen or something, where someone comes to ask him like a question, he's like, make sure you vote, and he just starts to run away from the camera.
Yes.
Today, anybody over 30 can get your vaccine, so get out there and get your vaccine.
Policy, Mr. Hancock. Are you worried about Dominic Cummings giving evidence today, Mr. Hancock?
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
one of my
so
favorite
weird.
interviews.
He's like, make sure you go out and vote. And he starts running. And you're just like, why is he? It's just such a weird
the fake crying on TV as well.
Oh,
This is
God.
the thing. Like, the fact that
no.
I haven't even thought about this, and I'm pulling
Remember
this
that? He
out.
was like,
Yeah.
we got to play that as
Just
well.
simple words there, reacting it. You're quite emotional by that.
Well, it's just, it's been such a tough year for so many people, and there's William Shakespeare putting it so simply for everybody that, we can get on with our lives. And there's still a few months to go. I've still got this worry that we can't blow it now, Piers. We've still got to.
We're going to play that as well. This is the thing. These are
He's
really
got his own
visual clips.
playlist.
He's got so many moments.
But I think in a very strange way, perhaps outside of general elections, we don't have a way to punish politicians besides
here you
the
go
media.
again. Yusra was always wondering how you punish people.
No, I'm not wondering how we punish people. I'm wondering how we hold public servants like Matt Hancock responsible. And what I would say is, in a strange, perhaps inadvertent way, what we've seen is his own worst enemy has been himself. If he has less options after this fiasco, the only person he can blame is Matt Hancock.
Yeah.
Human or not.
It is funny how he's clearly done with being an MP, isn't he? And
I think he's
sort
checked
of,
out.
what he's wearing, how he's talking, the fact that, this was what was ridiculous. The fact that he was asking us I'm a human.
Believe
who made
me.
a mistake is like, mate, no one asked you to do this job. Like I don't know who watches that and feels sympathetic for him. I actually thought that's why the interview was a car crash, was because I don't think he read the room. He's here telling us kind of the woe is me story. You got paid for what you did. There was no punishment, and I know that Yusra's not happy about that. There was no punishment for him. You've literally been allowed to have this amazing second act where you're flying around, probably going to be flying around the world giving speeches. New podcast announced with Spotify soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, in fact, he was offered, I think, was it a job with the United Nations at first that got revoked?
Well, I don't know if he was offered it, but I do know there were talks about him being involved in the United Nations, which is as what?
I think that's, in a way, it reminds me of Boris Johnson, perhaps, but with less charisma, in that there seems to be a strange way in which, within the Westminster bubble, let's call it, you can fail upwards. So the question will be whether or not Matt Hancock is the exception to the rule, or whether he proves the rule.
There were rumours around the time that he was being bullied in cabinet, and I just think that it's very in character, right? Like he seems like a bit of a wet flannel.
Yeah, I can't imagine him being sort of bullied. He was the health secretary.
Yeah.
It doesn't get higher than him, especially when it comes to kind of COVID. Maybe Boris Johnson, he was reporting
roll
to.
Over, I think.
But Boris Johnson doesn't strike me as a man over the detail, scrutinising his ministers to ensure they keep the...
But they set up another job to get him off it. Like the head of vaccinations, or whatever. Was it Sajid Javid who led that?
Yeah, everyone's had a different role this whole rehabilitation question is really fascinating though. Like, how do you, because Kwasi Kwarteng I think is in the same position, like who's going to touch him with a barge pole? Like, what role is he going to have? Likewise, Liz Truss, she's literally all the way in Taiwan. Like, that's where she is, trying to kind of get her voice out there.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. I was
although I think
so far away.
I think that's where you have a sort of strange thing. Maybe it's just prime ministers versus lower ministers. But Liz Truss appears to be having quite a successful second act. She's giving talks.
She's given a talk.
In
Taiwan. The rest have been sort of more low. The last place she was at was she at NatCon? No, she wasn't.
No, she wasn't at NatCon, but she was at some
sort of
UK
policy thing.
Outfit.
Yeah.
But I figure, like Theresa May with her speaking engagements, not a terribly successful prime minister, mind you, that there'll almost always, if you have a certain amount of profile, be an opportunity to leverage that into, talking gigs.
It's a name on a piece of paper, right? And you're going to get draw for it. And at the end of the day, the lower the minister, the lower the pull. But equally, sometimes it's better to just have the connections and be under the radar.
Like David Cameron.
Yeah, David Cameron was a prime minister, so that's slightly different. Yeah, but obviously, if you're, it's better to fly under the radar if you're a junior minister, because then you still got those connections who could be in office or will be in office or are in office, and you have that ability to leverage those for a business. If you are Kwasi Kwarteng or Liz Truss or Matt Hancock, you're always going to end up with an element of poison that is just going to be there.
Literally. And I guess, listen, if he stays in the sort of mainstream media, we can look forward to more videos, probably more blunders, more things we can just be laughing at.
It's my favourite topic.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.